CEO of Sales Pro Insider and author of Conversations That Sell. Here are my takeaways of Master Sales Professional Nancy Bleeke. I hope you enjoy.
92%. It's a high number no matter what you're measuring. But it's a disappointing high number in the context of goals. It's estimated that 92% of goals are abandoned within 30 days of them being set. Yikes! People put so much effort into setting the goals to have them go away that quickly. And I believe the problem isn't in the actual goal that's set, it's the plan around it for the goal to be achieved that's at fault. And when I look at people's goals, a goal is simple. It's simply a stated outcome with a date or time frame associated with it. As we talk about business development or business, it's typically revenue or a certain amount of income by the end of a reporting period, whether it's a week, a month, a quarter, or the year. And that's all a goal is. When you're setting the goal and you include all of the ingredients about planning to achieve the goal, that's where you can make the difference. There's three key missing ingredients, I call them, in most goal plans. And the first of those is identifying the stakeholders. That is knowing who cares about the outcome of this goal as much as you, or maybe even more. Who has something at stake for that goal being achieved? Or who has something at stake about their care for you? And if that outcome and goal is important for you, then it's important to them. Your stakeholders can be great accountability people or support people, depending on what you need along the journey to achieving that goal. The second missing ingredient in most goal plans is identifying the resources needed to achieve that goal in that time frame. And it's identifying the resources such as time, human support, technology support, the effort that's needed, the mindset that's needed, the commitment resource that's needed. Identifying those resources when you're putting together the plan helps you do a reality check on that goal. You might find that the time frame is not realistic, or that the resources need to be adjusted one way or another to achieve the goal in whatever time frame or at the level that it needs to be. And when that's missing, then the goal gets abandoned when it's not on track or someone feels it's unachievable. And the third missing ingredient for most goals that are set is identifying the compelling motivator or reward for achieving that goal. And again, when we're talking about business or business development, most people will be like, well, when I achieve that goal, that means I have this much income or the business has this much revenue, and they associate a dollar kind of reward with it. And that's a good start. But then we have to apply the 3 so what activity to it to get to the motivating motivator. So this much income, so what? What does that mean for me? What is in it for me when I achieve that? Well, that means that I can have this experience or I can purchase something. Okay, so what? What does taking your family on this trip do for you? Or what does buying that car or that kayak do for you? And ask yourself again, so what? And then answer that question. Staying on that same example, well, when I get to take that trip, that is going to fulfill a lifelong dream of mine. Great. So what? You've got to ask it the third time. The answer that comes with that third so what is typically the one that really matters. And a good check on whether it is the one that really matters, or you should ask a fourth, is does it give you the feels? Does the response, as my kids say, give you the feels? I've seen adults get teary-eyed when they got to that third response, or get goosebumps as they thought about pride, or they thought about a relationship impact, or they thought about the impact on another human being for what their efforts have done. That is when you get to the compelling motivator, and you have to keep it visible so that along the way of achieving that goal, when you're not feeling the motivation, when you don't want to take the action for whatever reason, you remind yourself, why is it important to do that? So if you want to be in the 8% of people that actually have a goal that is achieved versus the 92% that set a goal, include those 3 missing ingredients of identifying your stakeholders, the resources, and the real so what for achieving that goal. And that's when you are a goal achiever versus a goal setter. Have you heard of Nick Wendella, the famous high wire artist? He's a member of a 7-generation dynasty of aerial artists. And Nick has become known for his daring feats in crossing gaps throughout the world, like between skyscrapers in New York City, between the Grand Canyon, and even across the gap of a volcano in Nicaragua. Nick and his team plan and prepare for making that gap crossing and for the risks that are going to be there, and getting Nick mentally and skillfully ready to step by step cross that gap to get to the other side. In selling, we talk about the gap, and people say sell to the gap. And we do need to sell to the gap and position the value of what we offer for those prospects. But what I find is that the normal gap of what's going on today and what do they want to happen tomorrow is not always compelling enough for us to position value for that prospect or those prospects to confidently and quickly make a decision to start that journey with you. And we have another gap that more than 50% of people in our workshops say they never thought of addressing, and that's the risk and reward gap. And finding out what are the risks that they're concerned about in making that crossing or in getting to that future state, that tomorrow. And what are the rewards or the benefits for them doing that? What's going to compel them to put money into this, effort into this, relationship changes, etc. And 90% of the people in our workshops haven't addressed the gap of the risk and rewards for the current situation, because that is our biggest competitor, is people doing nothing. So what are the benefits of them doing nothing? And what are the risks in their mind of doing nothing? Because that then can help them maybe start that journey to get to that tomorrow state. So we need to look for the gap in the totality of those points: today, tomorrow, risk and reward. And after we have earned the right to do so, ask the questions about risk and reward. Here are some examples of questions that we can incorporate into our investigate. What's the impact of you getting to, and then fill in that tomorrow? How will you feel when that happens? What's driving you to look for help? Who else cares about this as much as you? And then what does that do for you? What do you see as the downside to staying on the current course? What may get in the way as you begin to implement this? And how likely is that to derail your entire plan? What are you most looking forward to when this is addressed? How will tackling this improve your life or your business? What's the biggest benefit for each of you when you get started? How will you use the time and energy that you no longer spend on this endeavor? And what makes you comfortable with your current situation? What do you think the answers to those questions could do in your sales situation? What could it do for them, whether it's an individual or more than one person, to be able to verbalize and explore those risks and rewards? What it's going to do is change the situation in that you're going to have a bigger gap to position, not just your data, facts, and your process for how you're going to work with them, but how you are going to help them minimize their risks and maximize these rewards. And getting to that why on the rewards is powerful in the relationship as you get started and as you go forward. And going back to Nick Wendella, when he's asked why does he do these crazy, daring, life-threatening feats, he said it's not about the fame and fortune, which is what most people would think is the reward. For him, it's a higher calling. He believes that this is giving him the world stage to call attention to his faith. And that's his compelling motivator. So what questions can you ask to find out your prospects' compelling motivators to get that confident and quick decision to actually start on that journey with you? What you believe you can achieve. It's a powerful quote by Mary Kay Ash. And yet we need to check how those beliefs, our mindset, come out of our mouth. Because while that is an inspirational quote, our beliefs can be a barrier to what we seek if we're not careful about what we say. Our self-talk is extremely powerful. And when that self-talk is verbalized, it reinforces the mindset behind it. What we say amplifies and makes the mindset normal and creates a mind-to-mouth connection. And this mind-to-mouth connection creates a cycle that helps or hurts. For example, when the pandemic began, some people took on the mindset that things were going to be completely different and impossible. And they started saying things like, well, because of COVID, I can't fill in the blank. Because of COVID, I can't network like I used to. Because of COVID, I can't meet people face to face. And then we're not setting up enough trust for them to want to pay the fees to work with me. Or because of COVID, the best we can do this year is to retain and sustain what we have. And those outcomes were realized. While other people started saying, this is different, but not impossible. And so while there is COVID, I will continue to network and make connections and help as many people as I can. And those results were realized. In fact, in the last week, I've spoken with 2 firm owners who said that it was their best year ever, that they were struggling to keep up with onboarding their new clients, meaning they're helping more people than ever. And their business is profitable and growing. Mind-to-mouth connections matter. So what can we do? Continue to feed our brain and use our words for possibilities of positives. We should tell ourselves mentally and out loud positive outcomes, such as, I consistently make good connections so I can help more people. I am confident in my business development efforts. I'm successful in helping people see the value of working together. And my revenue is constantly increasing. This type of mindset, connected to us verbalizing those statements and outcomes, will pay off. So while Mary Kay Ash says what you believe you can achieve, we can make it more powerful. What I believe I will achieve. Say it out loud with me. What I believe I will achieve. Now that's a powerful mind-to-mouth connection. In the last 20 sales strategy conversations I had, which are 30 minutes of free coaching focused on a specific sales situation of the person's choice, 13 of them focused on how to help their prospects get the value of what they offer to make a more confident and quick buying decision. 13 out of 20. So obviously it's an important topic. And the good news is that there's a simple solution to helping people get it, whether it's information we're sharing or the specific solution or service that we're sharing. It's taking what we're explaining and connecting it to them, to what's in it for them or the with it. This connection answers the so what that's going through their mind as soon as you start speaking. And by you making the connection, you're not counting on them being able to do it. They might not have the knowledge or the background or the mental ability to make that connection. So you're helping them get it much easier, which allows them to see value that much faster. Here's a couple of examples on what a what to with it sounds like. Say that you're explaining that we offer comprehensive financial planning. So what is what they're thinking? And your answer will be, this means you have an experienced professional who understands all aspects of your financial situation. And that will ensure that you will, and then fill in the blank. You will live the retirement that you dream of by traveling the world and spending time with your family. Or you'll be able to fund your children's college without it being a burden on you at that stage of your life. Or you'll have the least tax liabilities year after year, or which will allow you to set up the endowment that you have wanted to do for many, many years. Whatever is important to them is what you fill in as the with it. Or another example is, we'll complete a full cash flow analysis for you, which will allow you to make informed decisions for, and then you fill in a with it that's specific, for your retirement spending, for a home purchase, for college planning, or charitable giving. It's a seemingly simple connection. What makes it powerful is when what you're including as the connected with it is what they've told you, is what's important to them, is their motivators or their priorities. That's when they'll see the value of what you're explaining. And if you can't make a connection to a with it or something specific to them, you probably haven't earned the right to share that information yet. What's to with it makes that connection easy for them to get it. And when they get it, they will make faster and more confident decisions. If you would like more on this topic, I've recently recorded a webinar that gives you more specifics, details, and how-tos. Look for the link below. And what's that mean for you? It means that you'll have more actionable information so that you can make the what to with it connection powerful and convert those hard-earned leads into clients. Oh my goodness, did the recording already start? Oh, I wasn't ready. I was so distracted. Has that ever happened to you? You were in a conversation with somebody or supposed to begin a conversation, and yet you were distracted right up until the time or during the time by something happening on your phone or something on your screen or watching the TV screen in a public setting. And that is a detriment to us having productive conversations, to having productive, the information exchange that is needed to help somebody who is considering your service or your product make a good decision. Because if we're distracted, we can't focus and be the guide through their journey. And if they're distracted, they're not going to hear what is going to be the value they're going to receive if they're working with us. And so it's not about only distraction. It is about people being busy, and they'll talk about their busy badge, and that's why they can't do things. But really, it is distraction. And Linda Stone coined a term about 10 years ago called continuous partial attention. Continuous partial attention. That is a state of being that most of us live in, where we have attention being diverted at the same time. So even though we're talking with somebody or we're working on something, our eyes are averted, looking for other things. Our ears are picking up a text coming in or something popping up on our computer. And that again gets in the way. So what can we do about it? What we can do about it is to make sure that we're not distracted when we begin the information exchange, which is what we are doing, learning information about our potential buyer, and then being able to connect the value of our solution, our service for that buyer specifically. Stop yourself when you feel yourself grabbing for that phone. Before you're engaging in a conversation, sit and let your mind be clear for 30 or 60 seconds. Start thinking about them and ignoring everything else going on. If you're meeting in person, sit in your vehicle if needed, or stand outside their door. Take a couple of deep breaths and get yourself focused, because then you'll be able to be so relevant with the questions that you're asking and the information you're sharing that they won't have a chance to be distracted.